Are you an expat in Sydney? Has your visa run out and you'd really like to stay? So here are a couple of options for those who've fallen in love with Australia. Right, so I've got to start this video by saying I'm not a visa expert. This is based on my experience, but a lot of people have been asking about visas and what you can do to stay in Australia. This is a video for them. This is what I know. And it's incredibly frustrating when you get here, you fall in love, they give you a visa to stay for 6 months and a year, but there aren't many options to stay beyond that. So if you fall in love with the country, or if you fall in love with someone and you'd really like to explore your visa options, here are the 3 that I looked into when I really wanted to stay. So as you know, 30 Ever After was started after a breakup that I went through, and in the midst of going through that breakup I also had a ton of visa issues because I was on a partner visa, and then I had to get back onto a work visa and then get someone to sponsor me. Anyway, so just that detour was to tell you I have experience in looking through visas. So if you are looking for visa options, here are a couple to consider. Number 1 is the most expensive option is the student visa. So if you have the cash, or if you want to learn something, a student visa is a great way to stay in the country. From what I know about it, it requires you to, study. So you have to always be enrolled in a course, and this can get quite expensive because you're paying international school tuition fees. But if you have the cash and you want to learn something, you can pick up a degree, and having that degree will let you not only let you stay in Australia, but it will let you work for, I think it's part-time hours, so 20 hours a week. So this can work out if you can work part-time hours and make a really good income. So for example, like trades pay really well here. If you IT pay really well. So maybe you only have to work 20 hours to sustain income and sustain your studies. So student visa is one, and I think depending on what you study or how long you study for, there might be pathways for you to stay a little bit longer. So that's an option for you. Number 2, which is one of the options that I have opted into, was getting your employer to sponsor you, so work sponsored visas. The ones that I was on was a 457, which don't exist anymore. Basically on a 457, what I did was you could get onto a work visa and then have them sponsor you to get permanent residency eventually. But that didn't happen for me because my relationship ended and I had quit the job that I was in. So yeah, that employer relationship had ended before I was even eligible. But you can get your work to sponsor you. Now, depending on what role you're in and what industry you're in, that will determine whether or not you can stay and get permanent residency long term. I think before, the rules have changed now, so I'm not sure if you can actually get onto a pathway from a work visa to permanent residency. So you might have to check with a visa agent about this. But I know that certain industries will let you stay for longer. Now the third option is, if you fall in love with Australia and you've fallen in love with somebody, you can get a partner visa. So a partner visa, when you apply, you start with a temporary partner visa, and then I think if you've been together for 2 years, after 2 years you prove to them that you're still together, and then that's when you might be eligible for permanent residency. So a lot of people have asked, based on my other videos, do you have to live together? How long do you have to be together? This is what I know. From what I know, you have to show that you have a shared life together. So this often means sharing the same apartment, so rental bills, utility bills, things like that. And from what I also know, if you haven't lived together for a certain amount of time, or if you don't have evidence to show that you've been together for a certain time, I think they accept it if you register your relationship. So if you register your relationship as a de facto relationship, that proves as evidence that you have a serious and ongoing relationship. So yeah, if you get your partner visa approved, that's also a pathway to permanent residency and then eventually citizenship. So in my video, my other videos, you'll see that we had applied and had like a really ridiculous waiting period of 3 years, but we got there. Now that's an option for you if you have fallen in love with somebody and while falling in love with Australia. Then the next option is your independent skills visa. So this isn't a work sponsored visa, but this is just for industries where there's serious shortage of roles. You can apply to get a visa, which then you can use to go to any employer you like. So you're not tied to your employer. That's the one thing I didn't like about work sponsored visa. I just felt trapped. So my being able to stay here was linked to work, which I wasn't a fan of. So those are all the visa options I looked into. Let me know if you've been in this situation or you're stuck in this situation now. Again, I'm not a visa expert. These visa options were the ones that I looked at when I was stuck and needed and wanted to stay in Australia. So I'll be back with more videos on dating and relationships. If you have any questions, leave a comment and I will get back to you. Thanks. Bye.